Forget all you know about podcasts. We welcome you to an experience uniquely different. Please join us for our coverage of all entertainment on the fringe of society. The candles are lit, the lights are down low. It is now time to welcome our host as he steps up to the pulpit. The sacrifice has been prepared for the midnight black mass.
And welcome back to the Midnight Black Mass. And it is my pleasure to bring for part 3 of the Wildside Chronicles interview series, The Being of Inconceivable Horror, the No Pain Train, or as Murder One used to call him, Mr. Big Drawers. Ladies and gentlemen, one of my dear friends, always a pleasure to have the Iceberg on the show. How you doing, brother?
I love you too, Murder One, you bastard. What's going on, brother? How's baby girl doing, man? She feeling better?
Oh, yeah, she's finally kicking out of the crud, which is nice. Now she's got her energy and personality back and ain't so damn irritable, so which is good for everybody.
Good deal, man. Good deal.
Hey, I appreciate you asking. Oh, man, not a lot. Very excited about this part 3 here. Part 1 just went up as we record this. Got a lot of nice feedback on it so far. Check it out here at thepottyhumor.com archives if you haven't. We last left the discussion. We really focused on your singles run in Wildside and, where the ups and the downs and the build and the climb and the big baby face turn. And then just the last little part of the Wildside chapter would be your tag team days, teaming with your dear friend and mine, the Strong Style Psycho Tank. So let's start there and just tell us about how that came about. What were your first impressions of Tank when you met him and, before you knew him?
I met him and we just clicked, man. I met him up in East Ridge. I can't remember if he was there that night or not. I met him up in East Ridge, up that way, Tennessee border, and dude, we just clicked. And that night, the promoter, what was it, Fast Eddie? Was that his name? Eddie?
Yes.
That was his name, right? Yeah. He had us penciled in we were to work each other. And we had created such a bond in the parking lot in those couple hours leading up to it that we just pretty much decided that, fuck this, we're going to be a team. Whether it be here or whether it be somewhere else, we're going to be a team. And so, but we did good business. We went out. I say we did good business. We did good business as far as the match was concerned. Now, the afterbirth, I don't think anybody was real pleased about. But, like I said, we made that bond, and we decided we were going to go into business for ourselves, I guess. And we got along so well, we decided we wanted a team together. And he was actually the heavyweight champion up there at that point. And that probably wasn't in the cards for him to be in a team. But we both just felt so strongly about it that he was willing to risk his spot, and, I didn't really have one. That was my first night in, but I was willing to take a chance on a guy that I just met, and, in the long run, it paid off, man.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you mentioned that, too, because, a lot of the fans that saw exclusively the Wildside TV and maybe didn't see some of the other stuff that was going on some of these indies down at the time, you guys actually teamed for a while before you started teaming in Wildside. You did the deal there in the East Ridge, Chattanooga area. You ended up doing the thing in Rome, actually, with Ray Gordy and Rick Michaels also involved as the Extreme Freebirds. You want to talk any about little stint there briefly before we delve back into the Wildside territory?
Yeah, man. You know, we had a chance to go in there. You know, we both were working there. Actually, all four of us loosely, with the exception of Rick, and that's why I say loosely, because Rick really wasn't. He wasn't working there at the time that we went in. But you know, the three of us, me and Ray and Tank, you know, we were all working there separately, and we sat around one night, man, and I had such an admiration for Terry, Ray's father, coming up, which I know you did as well. Probably the best big man ever to you know, step between those ropes.
Oh yeah, Terry was so fucking good.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I had such an admiration for him, and I saw what I conceived to be a waste of how they were using him up there, and you know, like I say, not giving him a rub, but just kind of putting him somewhere that I felt that he would be, you know, more suited. You know, he was in that group.
It was a remake of the Varsity Club. It was
a remake of the Varsity Club. And you know, that may have actually been my inspiration to put the three of us in that group. You know, because his father was, you know, part of the most famous trio in history, and that was, you know, the Freebirds. You know, they're the ones that started it all. You know, as far as groups go, as far as the music goes, you know, everything being an intimidating factor. You know, going into a place that, you know, in a territory that they just absolutely were hated. You know, and I felt like he was being wasted. No disrespect to Phil or any of the guys that were affiliated with that group, you know, that company. But, you know, the opportunity was given to me to kind of have my input taken more seriously. And I saw Ray as somebody who could, you know, benefit from the experience that Tank and I had, but, you know, he would also bring a lot to the table too, because, you know what I do, man. You saw his stuff. He was awesome. That kid was awesome the day he stepped foot in the ring. You know, and
I mean, it really sucks that we live in a world that Ray Gordy isn't a professional wrestler anymore. I mean, that's really shitty.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. But you know, it was an opportunity really for all of us. And you know, I went to Ray and I asked him, you know, point blank. I said, look, I'm thinking of putting this group together, me and you and Tank, and I'd like to call them the Extreme Freebirds. You know, do you think Michael would have a problem with it, and would you mind asking him? And he did. He went to Michael Hayes, and you know, God bless Michael. He gave us his approval, and we went from there, man. And it took off. You know, it really took off.
It did, because a lot of those shows, while there was no TV to be seen in Rome at that time, I think they actually, you know, in one of the many incarnations of the NAWA, got some TV up there at some point, but it was well after this happened. And this is when they were still running in this old warehouse-type building called Dillard's. But our buddy David Pierce, the cameraman, who's been brought up a lot on these interviews recently, he actually filmed a lot of those shows and was always big into tape trading. He had tape trading contacts like in Japan and other places, you know. So he sent the shit around, and, you know, when I was doing the research on this, one of these interviews here with me and you, just kind of looking at some various articles on you and stuff, or just little ideas of shit to jog my memory to talk about. I saw, like, actually on Slam Wrestling, which is a Canadian website, did a write-up on the Extreme Freebirds several years ago. So, you know, it made it up as far as Canada with, like, no fucking TV coverage to speak of or any sort of, like, professional DVD release. You know, it was just Pierce putting his guerrilla camera work together. But, you know, apparently some people paid attention to it.
Absolutely. And you know what? We bitch about the internet a lot, especially in this business. But how fucking great is it? I mean, as far as the number of people that we can reach and not be on a nationwide or worldwide television show. You know what I'm saying? For another country, which I know it's just our neighbor to the north, but still, it's another fucking country, and they're picking up on shit that we got going on in a little bitty old Rome, Georgia.
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, it's funny. We do bitch about the internet, and I think it's just more like when wrestlers bitch about the internet, what they really mean is a distinct subsection of the internet that hates everything. I think, technology in and of itself is a wonderful thing, and like it or not, like, it's here. So, we can keep putting our fucking heads in the sand like a bunch of ostriches and pretending like, the internet isn't a thing, but in wrestling,
right.
it's always better to be ahead of the curve.
Absolutely. Fucking embrace it, man. I think it's done more good for the business than it's done bad. I honestly do. And I know there's a lot of negative shit that the internet has brought to the business, but honestly, God, I think it's brought more positive than it has negative.
Well, it's helped keep it alive for one fucking thing, and I don't know that necessarily at certain times, honestly, if TNA wasn't getting feedback from fans, do you think that maybe they'd still keep funneling money into that thing? Like, they gotta to think that, they're getting some feedback from somewhere. So, like I say, it's a different thing, man. It's definitely, it's the modern world, and you're right, we got to embrace it. But moving on out of the NAWA, that was a fun time down there, and spawned a lot of good talent that ended up coming to Wildside, actually, like Jay Fury and some other guys who were not, that Justin Ramey is a guy that comes to mind. He was really good. He didn't have much of a look, but he was one of those guys that was only really a star there. But one of those, what I'd call an unsung hero of a territory, because you never heard of him much outside of that. But moving on to Wildside, and back to that, you started teaming with Tank pretty quickly into the tag team title picture, that didn't take long. Just thoughts on the run, and pretty much that coasted all the way into the end of Wildside, like some of the different teams that you worked with, and what your favorite moments of that particular period were. Moving back into the Wildside territory, you had taken teamed up, and you talked about the formation, but just talk about that run, like some of the teams you worked with, some of your favorite moments and things like that.
And I need a setting style chicken.
All right, run that by me one more time, brother. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no problem, man. During the tag team run with Tank in Wildside,
right.
Once you made it there, the tag team titles were in your future pretty quickly. But you worked with a lot of different teams during that little run as it pretty much coasted to the end of Wildside. And just, your thoughts on that run, and, mainly, some of the guys you worked with, some of the different teams, and some of your favorite moments just during that time.
I tell you, man, like I said, you didn't catch it the first time around because we got disconnected, and that's probably my fault. But no, as I was trying to get into the company, period, I was bombarding Bill Barron's email with these emails going, look, man, I know you got my partner from, these other companies and shit down there working Tank, and I said, I know he's in a team, but, we do really good shit together, and I want to come in, so, let's fucking, let's put us together and, do this team shit here because it seems to be working everywhere else. Well, obviously Bill had other plans, and, I appreciate what he did because he had a bigger vision than I did. You know what I mean? But no, we finally got together, and, just that was the whole turning point to me, man. That was some of my favorite shit that I ever did was getting the team with him because, we clicked, and, he was my best friend too. You know what I'm saying? So that fell over into what we were doing in the ring. But to be honest with you, man, like, yeah, we work with a lot of good teams, but there's one team that stands out that just overshadows everybody else, and that was Pomp and Circumstance, Rockwell and Tempers. You know, those were my two favorite opponents to work with, period. You know, as a duo, me and Tank versus, you know, Rockwell and Tempers, it didn't get any better than that in my eyes.
Yeah, that was some fun times because they really earned their keep. You and Tank beat the holy dog shit out of them, as me and him talked about quite a bit in his interview. Bill was getting mad at him because y'all just kept killing them. You worked him in like a fucking, essentially what was a 20-minute squash match one time. And they took all kinds of abuse from you guys, but in the end, you know, like really came out of the trial by fire. You guys made those guys stars that night, and they just had rockets strapped to their ass.
The funny thing about that is yeah, it may have been like a 20-minute squash or whatever, and you know, maybe Bill got a little grumpy in his words with us about it. But you know what, man, and I can't tell you exactly that was the plan going in, but I think that both of us had enough respect for those guys to put them out there and let Bill and whoever else needed to see what we already knew, and that those two guys were going to be two of the biggest, you know, that ever stepped foot in that building, period.
And both went on to be.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, and outside of that place, you know, and just to know that we had, that maybe, you know, we had a hand in, you know, what they were and maybe what they became, you know, that's an awesome feeling, man. You know, because I love both of those guys tremendously. I've got so much respect for them, and I know the feeling's mutual. You know, but just I've never seen two kids that wanted it more than those two did. They fucking wanted it, and they did not care what they had to endure to get it. You know, and you know, the easy job was ours. You know what I'm saying? Like, we had the easy job. You know, those guys, they worked their asses off. You know, and they bumped their asses off, and they sold their asses off, and made us look, you know, 100 times better than what we deserve to look, in my opinion. You know, especially on my end of things, you know, because to me, Tank he's the fucking guy. Out of the two of us, he's the fucking guy. You know, he had the amateur background, and he can just fucking go. You know, I was more of the show. You know what I'm saying? People would just look at. That was what I brought to the table. But he was the fucking guy as far as our team went. You know, so like, you know, I touched on it a bit, but you know, him and those two guys right there, I've got as much respect for them as I've got for anybody in the fucking business. You know, and that's saying a lot. That's saying a lot.
Oh, yeah, without question it is. And so as Wildside was coasting towards its end, a couple of things came up for you outside of Wildside. Do you want to tackle the end of the promotion or the two ventures into other larger promotions?
No, man, I mean, you know, like, that was my company, man. You know, like, I loved that place. Like, I had so much respect and admiration for, you know, the guys that paved the way, especially in that company, because that was something that I was a part of. Like, I wanted to ride that thing out. I didn't want to see it end. You know, I knew there was other opportunities out there, some maybe bigger, you know, maybe bigger stages and maybe bigger paydays. But as far as where my heart was, that was it. You know, that little building in Cornelia, Georgia, that was my heart. You know, so it was kind of a bittersweet thing to find out that it was closing. I was upset that we were, you know, no longer going to be, but I was also happy for Bill because Bill had a bigger opportunity, you know, placed in front of him. And how can I hold a grudge against somebody who helped me, you know, fulfill a lot of dreams and some expectations that I didn't really have for myself. He made those opportunities for me. You know, he made them happen. So, you know, it was a bittersweet thing. I just knew if it was going out, I wanted it to go out the right way. And I think it did. I absolutely think it did.
Oh, it damn sure did, yeah, without question. We blew the roof off of it one last time, and then we were all there inside the cage shedding tears when it was over. Because, you know, it really did mean that much to us. I mean, we put our fucking everything into Wildside. Well, you know, the second we fucking got done with the show, that's all we were thinking about was what was happening at the next show. You know, that locker room put every fucking
you know, I look at it now. I look now at Anarchy, and I see. I won't say how much better those guys have it than us, you know, because they don't have to stick around to 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning to you know, do interviews and shit like that. But you know what, man? They're missing out on a lot of the camaraderie that those late nights gave to us. You know, I mean, we really spent quality time together in that building when the front doors were locked, and it was just the boys and the people that were pouring their hearts and soul into that company. You know, we sat around and we tried to come up with ways, you know, to pitch to make it better than it already was.
Yeah, we just had this, like, there was a mentality or an attitude, call it what you want, you may call it an arrogance, confidence, whatever. We were trying to do shit that was relevant in the business overall. We were trying to push the direction of things, and I think it's hard to argue that in some ways we did, especially when you got guys like Jason Cross and AJ Styles pretty much inventing a new style of wrestling, and which eventually became like the Ring of Honor style and the TNA X division. There were guys.
It's the fucking X division. I don't give a shit. That's where the fucking X division came from. Was that little fucking building in Cornelia, Georgia, and Jason Cross and AJ Styles and Slim J and those guys. That's Delirious and fucking Matt Sydal. Evan Bourne. You know what I'm saying? Matt's fucking name. That's where that fucking division came from, man.
Yeah, it absolutely was. And so, speaking of these other promotions, after Wildside ended, you went on and did some other things, but it was actually before Wildside ended. I think you did both of these, but fans will be curious to hear. We got about 15 minutes left on this broadcast. Trying to wrap it up in 3, but we might be back for a 4th one, and that's fine, because, brother, my floor is open to you as long as this story needs to be told, you understand? And you've told quite a bit of a good story so far. So you actually went to Ring of Honor. We'll talk about that first. Kind of just give us the brief Cliff Notes overview of the experience, and then I want to talk about the fallout, and because I got some fucking words on that, and I know you do too. So yeah, let's hit us on that.
Yeah, man. I had the opportunity to go to Ring of Honor, and that was I absolutely believe 100% because of the attention that I got from Wildside. That was Bill working his magic, getting my foot in the door up there, because God knows, that company was built around wrestling, and, I'm not the greatest wrestler, and that's coming out of my mouth. I know that for a fact. Like I said, I was an attraction. But, I could work for a big guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'll pat myself on the back, and give myself that much credit. But, no, I got the call to go up, And the first time in was awesome. Got to work a six-man. It was me and Homicide and Dusty Rhodes against David Young, Jack Victory, and shit.
Was it Carino, maybe?
Maybe. Like, because I don't want my Carino stories to run together, because like I met Steve on some other shit, but yeah, and I'm embarrassed to say I don't remember who the third guy was on that team. But it was cool because it was when me and David were doing our shit down in Wildside anyway. And that's how they actually, throughout the DVD, if you watch it, there's several different shots of me and David, like, fighting in the streets of Philly and, fighting inside the building, outside the fucking building, leading up into the match, which, like I said, my first time in, but we were fucking main event of a goddamn Ring of Honor show, And I kind of marked out a bit about that. And
I think it was a bit of respect, shown by their office up there. And, I'm not the biggest fan of their fans, but I as far as their office goes, like, they clearly got respect,
Right. Absolutely. And you know what? I respect those fans because they're smart. Sometimes they're a little too smart for their own good, and for my own good, as that played out. But I respect them, and was very thankful to have had the opportunity to go and work in front of them. So the first time was awesome. The second time was awesome. The match itself, the promo that we did in the locker room, that Rob shot with me and the other
were
guys.
You spelled ROH in your head with thumbtacks?
Yeah, and I actually had Homicide, not Murder One, not you, Demetrius, you fucker. The up north Homicide. I had him spell it out for me not because I couldn't do it as far as the pain went, but just because I think I would have been illiterate as hell. And
make it look much better from that perspective.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been as straight and proper. You know what I mean? So I had him do it, and I always took it as a compliment after the fact. He said, if I ever do a fucking shoot interview, I'm going to put this over as the craziest shit I've ever seen and done at that point. God knows we've done crazier and seen crazier shit since then. But, this was coming from him. I thought that was pretty damn cool. So, went out, and I forget who the kid was, and I'm sorry if he hears this or anybody.
The kid that you worked, I saw it the other day. I watched some of that shit when I was getting ready for this. Oman Tortuga was his name.
Well, God bless it. You can pronounce it. I can't. I'm the dumb guy. But that kid, man, he put me over like $1 million. I appreciate him for it. Like I said, I'm embarrassed to say that I couldn't remember his name and can't pronounce his fucking name. But, dude, thank you. I appreciate what you did for me. But no, man, we went out, we did our shit, and it wasn't the typical, I guess, leading into, I'll lead you into your spiel, Dan. It wasn't the typical Ring of Honor style or match, or I don't know what they expected from me, but I guess I didn't meet their expectations, and that being the 3 guys or 5 guys, whatever it was, that didn't like it. So there you go.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing that really, like, when we bitch about the internet, that's the type of thing that really pisses me off. Is, I mean, like, okay, they're fans, you know, they paid their money. Yes, they have absolutely every right to like, dislike, whatever. But, like, to me, they didn't really even give you a chance, and you brought something totally different to what they had. And, you know, but because it was different, they immediately rejected it. I've seen you go out, and, I mean, you can move. You know, I said that Mr. Wrestling 2 had called you and Tank the two best moving big men that he'd ever seen. You know, we purposely made you stand still. You wanted to do so much more in the early Iceberg run, and we kept you from it because we wanted you to be that immobile monster. I mean, you could bump your ass off for a flea, and, you know, there were things that you could do that nobody else could do, and still to this day have not been replicated. And I just think that fuck those guys that said, you know, horrible things to you and about you over that because they couldn't fucking lace your goddamn boots or sniff your fucking jockstrap. That's all I got to say about that.
Well, I appreciate that, man. That means a lot, you know, coming from you. You know, and it didn't bother me at the time that they were, you know, that they were saying the shit that they were saying. I think what bothered me the most about it is the office, like, paid more attention to, you know, maybe a half a dozen guys than they did the other 1,300 people in the place, and, you know, didn't give me the benefit of the doubt as far as my abilities were concerned to go, you know, well, maybe he's not that bad. Let's go with this thing and see, you know, see where we might can take it. You know, that was what I got frustrated about. You know.
Yeah, definitely. But, you know, I could see that.
You know, such is life. Shit happens.
Yeah, it does. You know.
Direction. They went in their direction, and they're doing wonderfully, and I'm happy for them. I'm happy for the guys that I know that work for them still and are able to make a living from them, and even the guys that I don't know, I'm happy for them. You know, it's yet another venue for the guys in our business on the level that we're on to make a name for themselves. You know, get some exposure, get the name out there.
And make a little bit of money, you know, and that ain't exactly out there in fucking fruition either. So, you know, Absolutely. It's nice that there's another place for guys to get paid because, you know, those places are few and far between these days where you can make a legitimate living. And Ring of Honor is one of those places, so more power to them. So, anyway.
There's too many whores in this business.
Oh, yeah. No, fucking, please speak your mind on that.
And when I say that, I'm not speaking, and you know this, I'm not speaking of what, you know, if you hear the word whore, it's typically, you know, towards a woman or whatever. I'm saying, when I say there are too many whores in this business, and you know exactly where I'm going with this and exactly what I'm going to say, there are guys out there that will take booking, and they will take them for little to no fucking money just to have a spot on the damn card, and they will fuck the boys that could be making money out of their spot because they're going in and they're not charging the same dollar amount, or they're not charging a dollar amount at all. You know, that's my point.
Oh, yeah.
And this is supposed to be a fucking brotherhood. You're supposed to fucking, you know, it's family. You're supposed to take care of your damn family. There's too many fucking guys out there that are cutting throats just to goddamn get their fucking name out at whatever cost, you know, necessary. And, you know, you kind of have to do that in this business. You kind of have to look after your fucking self because ain't too many fucking people that are going to look after you. But, you know what, you got to be fucking considerate of the other guys that are in this thing because we all started fucking somewhere. And, you know, when you start making a little bit of a buzz with your fucking name, you know, let's make it worth something, because if you're willing to go out there for free and do this shit, just to fuck somebody else over, just so you get out there and get your fucking face seen? How fair is that to the person that's paying their hard-earned money that they've worked for to fucking come and see this goddamn show? You know?
Especially if you're the drizzling shits.
Absolutely. And that's the thing. And promoters have these fucking big eyes. Oh, fuck, it's not going to cost me anything to book this guy. Well, guess what? As much money as you're fucking paying him, that's how much he's fucking worth.
Yeah, you're damn right. And, hey, you know, I've ran shows. I know that there's not a lot of money to go around. But, you know, invest what you got in the right guys and don't be fucking just booking a bunch of shit birds because you can.
Right.
You know, there's guys out there that still ain't going to cost you an arm and a leg if you just work something decent out with them. You're still going to make your budget, and you might actually draw more people and have a better card the next time.
Imagine that. you might well crowd to be at your next show.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's his wife.
We got about 4 minutes left.
My whole point was, you know, yeah, I've done a couple of shows. I've done, I won't say a couple because I'd be bullshitting myself and I'd be bullshitting whoever's listening to this. I've done shows for little to no fucking money, but I did it because I was offering my time and I was trying to help the next guy, possibly, who's trying to make a name for himself, who is young and is new to this business. Let them make a fucking dollar. While they're making their name, let them make a fucking dollar. Because I had my opportunities.
Yeah, it's all about giving back, man. I mean, you know, there comes a point where there's not much you can get out of the business, you know, so you got to give a little back. But as we wrap up here with 3 minutes to go, I was going to get into the TNA story, but I think we're going to hold right here, and we're going to go ahead and do a part 4, actually, because we had some technical difficulties. I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll splice this, and the next one we'll try to get it scheduled in the next couple days so we can just get them done quick. And then we'll splice this and that one and just make an extended long finale, part 3, with what we talked about tonight. And the next one, and it'll be TNA and a little bit about Anarchy, and then also just like some lighthearted shit, you know, some fun road stories, like some fucking crazy shit, you know, just all of the various adventures guys leading the life we do partake in.
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah, sounds like a fucking plan to me. I can't wait to do the next damn installment.
Hell yeah. Well,
yeah, Midnight Black Mass.
Hell yes. So it's been a pleasure having you. And before we take this break, will now be a break before we end, and then as you're listening to it, we'll come back. Just throw a couple plugs out that way, where they can see you coming up, and you know where they can find you on the internet and shit.
Let's see. The next appearance is for NWA Anarchy. That's on October 26th. That's Friday night, 2013. I get to be the special ref in the heavyweight title match, steel cage with Jeter and Michael Judas. And then, you know, it's kind of up in the air at that point. You know, if Bill's got some ideas for me, then, you know, people can probably see me a little more regular at Anarchy and on Anarchy Television. And as far as how to get in touch with me, you know, look me up on Facebook. It's the No Pain Train, and that's capital N, No Pain, that's one word, and capital Train, T, and, you know, that's how to look me up, man. Send me a friend request. I'll accept it, damn it.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah, well, awesome. Well, we will be back after this short break with the more of the Iceberg extended finale. Don't go anywhere.
and a hellish holiday to you, dear congregation. Thank you for listening to this fine potty humor production. And right now we want to remind you that you can check out all of our content at the brand new YouTube page. That's youtube.com/pottyhumor. Full archive is going up. We've got weekly Midnight Black Mass offerings, the Get Your Pulls comic book podcast as well, with me and the great Muji. And, of course, all of our classic interviews going up from the Midnight Black Mass, the likes of Phil Anselmo from Pantera, Hank Williams III, Unknown Henson, Gideon Smith, Marvel Comics Jason Aaron, Kevin Helms from Hellraiser 3, Robert Everett from G.G. Allen's band, so much more. All that's going to be up. YouTube.com. Potty Humor is the destination. Go subscribe now. Tell your friends. Tell your mama. Tell your daddy. Tell your greasy granny. Because it's time to go to Potty Humor. YouTube.com/Potty Humor and subscribe. Couple of stops on the Revs Rejects Reanimated Tour tonight. November 30th. Empire Pro Wrestling. Tank versus Tempers 2. For the Empire Heavyweight Championship, the rematch. 8 o'clock p.m. bell time, $5 admission. You don't want to miss it. Go to Facebook.com/Empire Wrestling for more information. And then coming up next Wednesday, December the 4th, I'll be in Atlanta, Georgia. You're going back to Hotlanta, making my debut for Platinum Championship Wrestling. That's Facebook.com/Platinum Championship Wrestling, YouTube.com/PCW Atlanta, or follow them on Twitter at PCW. They will be at the Actors Express Theater in downtown Atlanta for PCW Mythos. Go check out those links for more information. And I'm also told that a huge wrestling event, may or may not be a part of it, but you definitely want to be there. Anarchy Wrestling, December 28th, 2013 at the NWA Arena in Cornelia, Georgia. Seasons Beatings. I'm told this is going to be a big event. Not sure all of the ramifications surrounding it, but apparently something huge is going down, so I'll be doing my best to join all my family down there at the Church of Southern Wrestling for the holidays this year and to visit that night. And you should too. Otherwise, as I said, take your ass to youtube.com/Potty Humor and click that subscribe button. And now, more Midnight Black Mass.
Blog Talk Radio.
All right, and so now I want to move the discussion along to a pretty big, significant event in your career, and we touched on it briefly earlier, but we're going to go into it in a little more detail now. Of course, you had the big run at Wildside. You had all the international success. You even got the trip up to Ring of Honor, but what's still to this day considered one of the big two, TNA Impact Wrestling, made the call. You got that call, brother. Talk about that experience, will you?
Yeah, man. I'd gone up at one point and had a dark match with David Young, which you're familiar with mine and David's work. But, for the average person that didn't keep up with it, like David and I had a chemistry, like nobody else. And so I was fortunate enough to, have Dave's name pulled out of the hat for me to have my tryout in front of. And, we went out there and tore it up, man. We really did. I'm as proud of that as I am of anything else. And I guess it was maybe a month or so later, and Bill Barron, he gave me the call saying they wanted me to do the pay-per-view that coming Wednesday, so that's what we did.
Outstanding. And you debuted under your real name for the first time in your career, Edward Chastain.
Edward Chastain.
Which is funny, because, Edward Chastain was more of a character than Iceberg,
Absolutely. Because Edward was the anti-hardcore guy, according to TNA. I don't know whose idea that was. The scars on my head certainly indicated that I was the anti-hardcore guy.
You're like a reformed alcoholic, you'd gone through the 12 steps, and you were trying to preach the gospel against it.
Exactly. I was the fucking president of HA, Hardcore Anonymous. That was me.
My name is Edward, and I have a problem. I like to stick thumbtacks in my head that spell the names of the promotions I work for.
Thumbtacks and let my manager, Jesse Bailey at the time, just beat the shit out of me with random things and, smile about it.
So, as a newcomer going to a fairly big show with, a lot of named guys there and a lot of important big dick slingers in the industry, as you might say, what was your vibe as a newcomer? How were you welcomed by the locker room? And kind of just talk about the experience there.
For the most part, man, I knew a lot of the guys because, at that point in time, their talent roster was, indie guys, with the exception of the few names that they had. But, that company was built around the young stars, people that, had the fresh face and people that weren't really as known as, some of the guys that had that name recognition. That's what that company was built around. And so, I mean, I felt pretty comfortable and confident going in, in any situation. There was, you kind of look over your shoulder because, the guys that have made it, they're kind of looking at you like, who the fuck is this guy? But, in the same sense, I got a chip on my shoulder going, why the fuck is this guy here? So, I mean, it wasn't so bad. Take it with a grain of salt and just try and get to know people, And I'm there to do a job just like anybody else was. So, especially in a startup promotion like that, your confidence is a little, it's a little higher than normal because you were actually asked to be a part of something that was new and something that was getting its feet on the ground.
Yeah, and certainly you had a bit of a buzz going, inside the industry about you. People were talking about who is this Iceberg, who is this throwback guy to the day of the classic big man and things like that. They were talking about it all around. So you might not ever had that big run in the WWE, but I know, people around that were important knew what was up with the Iceberg, and so, TNA came calling. It looked like things were going good, and then it ended pretty quickly. Do you care to talk about the details surrounding that?
Oh, absolutely. The first spot in was the deal with the Sandman, and they looked like that was going to be a nice little run, because he was the, hardcore icon or whatever that they had on the roster, and, I'm the anti-hardcore guy, so it looked like, it might have some legs, and we might be able to stretch it out. But the first match in was against Norman Smiley, and who I've got tremendous respect for. He had close to 20 years in the business at that point. And so, basically we were just kind of going over our shit. And what the company had in mind was for me to go out basically and to job Norman out. And, the way I looked at it, and the way I still do, man, is who the fuck am I to this business? As opposed to, Norman Smiley, who's been all around the fucking world and has, accomplished the things that he had accomplished. And he came to me and he's like, this is what they want. And I just looked at him and I said, no disrespect to you or the company, but, again, who the fuck am I? And I'm not going to do that to you. But, in his defense, he was more than willing to go out and do whatever needed to be done, which, in hindsight, that should have been the route that I'd taken. But I didn't. I had too much respect for the guy. And we went out and had what I thought was a good match. Great crowd reaction. You know, he got his shit in, which they wanted to see, you know. And, you know, when it was all said and done, the company got pissed. And I say the company, but I think more or less it was Scott DeMore, who was our booking agent for the match. He didn't like when he saw it all, because I didn't go out and I didn't job Norman out. So that led into the next week. I was booked for the pay-per-view, and the following week is when we had to blow off with the Sandman, which was fucking stupid because we'd only had that one goddamn interaction, you know. But, you know, it is what it is. It's funny because, you know, when I went into the booking meeting that Wednesday, it was me, DeMore, and Sandman, and the fucking Sandman was passed out, either drunk or fucked up on whatever, you know, substance that had him fucking tied up. But he was passed out through the whole booking meeting. And the way it was laid out to me was basically he was just going to job me out. And apparently they had pulled him to the side and told him that's what was going to happen. You know, you're going to go out, you're going to job this guy out, and, you know, that's it. He's going out the fucking door. So when Sandman was coherent enough to actually want to talk to me about the match, you know, he told me, he said, you know, I'm going to job you out. This is what we're doing. And I said, no, that's not what we're fucking doing. You know, I've worked for several years now to establish a character, not Edward Chastain, but, you know, it's fucking Iceberg, who I was identified more as anyway. I said, I worked, you know, too long trying to establish his character, and I'm not going to allow you or anybody else to fucking job me out, especially on fucking pay-per-view. I said, if I'm leaving this company and this is the last time they're going to see me, I said, I'm going to do something to at least, you know, show the people in charge and the people watching that they're dropping the fucking ball, because I've got way more to offer than what they're trying to give me credit for. So that's where the whole I haven't seen the match in forever, so you know, the details are sketchy in my mind. But I know I had gotten him outside the ring after the match started, and he was laying on the floor, and I stepped out to the apron, and I did a senton from the apron to the floor, which I had him move from. And, you know, I figured if nothing else, that should open up some eyes to the powers that see that, oh, look, you got this fucking guy that's 500 pounds, and he's, you know, cutting a goddamn flip to the damn, you know, onto concrete, you know, just willing to sacrifice myself for the betterment of the show. So that's what I did, and, you know, the rest of the match, you know, it went off without a hitch, and that was it. Edward was gone, and, you know, fucking Iceberg was right back to fucking Wildside tearing shit up with Jeff G. Bailey.
Oh, yeah. And speaking of Jeff G., just because you only worked with a handful of other managers in your career, and in the TNA run, you worked with Don Callis now. Was that just like The Office sticking him with you, and you know, it was just whatever it was, or was he actually invested in trying to get the thing over?
No, he look, I like Don, and I appreciate and respect what he did as far as the business goes, and I don't have a bad word to say about him. But I mean, he was basically stuck with me, and vice versa. I was stuck with him, and you know, it's not something that he asked for, not something I asked for. You know, we were just kind of put together, and you know, it could have been a good run with us. But, you know, like I said, in hindsight, yeah, I guess I should have done better business and done what I was told to do or asked to do. But, you know, out of respect for certain people, I wouldn't do it. And, you know, I just kind of did shit my own way, which has always been my thing. You know, I do it my fucking way.
Yeah, you live by your way, you die by your way, and you're a man and you stand behind it no matter what, you know, and that's respectable.
Yeah, and I mean, you know me. You've known me for fucking, you know, at least 15 years. You know, that's just me. You know, if I get it in my mind that this is what I think is best for what we're doing, then that's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to lobby, and I'm going to politic, and I'm going to do whatever I got to do that. And if it fails, then it's on me. If it succeeds, you know, then it's, you know, it's good for the company, it's good for business.
Yeah, definitely. Well, on from the TNA thing, on to, you know, Wildside ended, and we talked about that on a previous episode, just, you know, kind of the emotional impact on the end of the company. And in its place, Anarchy popped up, which is still going strong today. No longer NWA Anarchy, just Anarchy Wrestling. You can look them up on Facebook and on their website. I believe it's anarchywrestling.net. They're on Twitter at Anarchy Wrestle. Great group now ran by Dub, but that was not the case at the time. A man named Jerry Palmer had just bought in as owner after a couple different parties changed hands in the really early days. And he was a guy that didn't have really any wrestling experience. He was a fan. He was a tough guy, you know, in shape, and a fireman. So, you know, he was used to saving lives for real. And, you know, had a good head on his shoulders as far as a business mind, and also had the local charm. You know, he really was able to talk people up. So him coming into Anarchy really got it started hot, and we got paired together as the Devil's Rejects, and that was one of the best runs of my career, man, and I know you got to look upon it fondly, dude.
Absolutely. You know, the funny thing about it is, man, is when Anarchy started, you know, that was Rick's deal. That was Rick Michaels' deal. And I can't remember if it was the first show or the second show. It may have been the first show. For some reason, I won't think it was the second show that he had brought me in. And at that point in time, man, when I went up, he had absolutely no plans on using me regularly. I was just pretty much going to come in and, you know, be a you know, just a guy that came in to maybe draw people in on occasion. But I think his idea was, I think his idea was, I'm going to do this, I'm going to start this company, and you know, I'll use you as I need you, and which I was not a fan of. But when I went for the first time, I told him that. I said, you know, this is not something I want to do. I don't want to come in occasionally and do this. You know, I want to come in and help out, and I want to help come in and create this shit. And I was basically told, you know, well, we'll see how it goes tonight, and we'll play it by ear. So by, you know, the time the first night was over with, I was a regular. And, you know what I mean? Like, you know, because, I mean, we were there, and that's what the people were accustomed to. I mean, you know, you can take a whole new batch of people and carry them into a building that's established, but if you don't have at least part of the core, which, you know, Rick was a part of the core, but if you don't have a part of the core that made the last company successful, you know, you're going to fall on your damn face. And so, you know, it wasn't that I didn't have confidence in the guys that he was going to showcase. It was just that I thought I could bring something to the table to make shit better. You know, I thought that I still had something to offer to that company, whether it was a new one or not, and to that building and to the people in that community, because, you know, I had a pretty decent following there, and I had a connection with those people. So all I wanted to do was help. You know, it wasn't for the fucking money. It wasn't for any of the other bullshit. I just wanted to fucking help out. You know.
Well, you helped.
I tried, man. I definitely tried.
I'll say a great deal. And, you know, it was like, they opened in, I think, May, and I came in for one guest spot. I'd quit wrestling at that point, not like permanently. I was just on a hiatus because Wildside closing took a lot out of me because I'd put so much into it for so long, and then, you know, I'd kind of delved into the music thing there, and that was going pretty good at the time, so I wanted to see, you know, at least I owed it to it to see how far I could take it, and I found out, which wasn't too far, but it wasn't bad. And,
right.
So, you know, I was away for a while. They brought me in to do an announcing gig at, like, the Summer Big Show, and then come around Friday night, I'd get a call from Tank. He's like, hey, man, they got this angle, and they don't even know what the fuck to do with it. It's this voice, like, talking over the thing, and I think it would be cool if it was you, and you came in and turned heel and led a stable of, like, me and Iceberg and Azrael, and I was like, fucking okay, yeah, that sounds awesome. Let's do that immediately. And,
absolutely.
And so, you know, that's when we debuted as a group and blew off that angle at Fright Night. And, like, honestly, I had no idea that the Rejects thing would turn into what it was. I just, you know, thought it was my chance at long overdue getting to be a manager, you know, which is what I really wanted to do originally. But, you know, like, looking around, I'm like, fuck, I'm not ever going to be as good as Jeff G. Bailey. So I'm a pretty good announcer, and I'm better than all these fucks, so I can do that.
Absolutely. You know, and you know, because we've talked about this before, you know, when the idea was brought to me, as far as, it wasn't the group that I was opposed to, it was the name. And that was simply because, you know, that movie was just out. It was still fresh in people's minds. And, you know, I think it may have been you or it may have been Jeff that was like, well, you know, look at the Legion of Doom, you know, the Road Warriors, you know. And that kind of turned me around on the whole thing, and I was like, all right, fuck it, you know, let's see where this thing goes. You know.
Yeah. It's certainly like we weren't trying to copy the movie. I mean, we threw some homages out to it from time to time because, you know, I think we owed it at least that. But you know, it was definitely that mindset. The Road Warriors, they took the name from a movie. So many, like I could probably name 15 if I really thought hard. You know, I just kind of thought it as a grand wrestling tradition to be continued, and I'm happy. Like I said, I fucking never ever thought it was going to do what it did, like the way it came together and the way people hated us in those early days. God, they hated us. We had that fucking heat.
Oh, absolutely, we did. Absolutely.
And it was hard to get with you and Tank because they loved you fuckers. And Averill, too. I mean, you guys, you know, you had fucking killed yourselves for those people. But during that run,
you know, where we turned the corner with it was the night that, you know, where I fucking, you know, I turned on Slimmy. You know, because Slimmy is as you know, important of a player in that building as AJ Styles was, you know, or is. And, you know, that fucking, just being able to do that with him, you know, that turned the corner for us. And, you know, just very fortunate to have been in that situation. You know.
Yeah, we pretty much had
it. It wouldn't have worked with anybody else, I don't think.
I don't think so, no.
You know, because it had to be him.
Ace got to a point where he was probably as over as Slim at one point as a babyface there, but we hadn't gotten to that point yet, and so he wasn't in no position to make nobody else.
Right. But God knows he turned into that guy.
Oh,
God knows he turned into that guy. And, you know, I'd like to think that we had a lot to do with that.
Yeah, we couldn't have asked for a better build-up. You know, we really got the ultimate monster build-up. We fucking just slaughtered everybody for months and months and months, and they paired us with some baby faces that the people really didn't like. They were good, and they were good workers and good guys and guys that were pushed, but, like, the people, they were so with it at that time, they didn't think they had a chance against us, and so it wasn't as probably hot as it could have been. But then, you know, we eventually got to building these, and this whole Team Anarchy thing came up, and then they had that equal babyface rival to go into the War Games program with, and, you know, we fucking locked Jerry in the cage after the War Games and sent him to the hospital, and the fans followed the ambulance to the hospital.
That was the greatest thing ever.
Yeah.
It was that night, and what we did, and how, you know, like, they bought it. Like, that was so fucking 1980, you know what I'm saying, or fucking Mid-South. You know, the way that shit unfolded, and the way that they literally followed him to the hospital and camped out half the night to make sure he was, you know, that he was okay.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there were, like, blithering, sobbing messages on the Facebook page and the website, you know, from fans, and the girls were breaking down to hysterics in the crowd, and security was freaking out because they were getting overwhelmed. We were getting pelted with fucking garbage and everything they could get their fucking hands on, trying to get the fuck out of there. It was nuts. It was absolutely nuts. It was it's the holy grail, you know. When you can achieve that, you know you've done your job. And to say, you know, we've been a part of that. There's a lot of fucking guys out there that you watch on these shows and you've worked with, and they're great guys and they're good hands, but you know they will never achieve that moment. And I feel bad for them, because everybody who's a worker, calls themselves a worker, ought to feel that at least once to really feel what it's like, because it's truly achieving what you're setting out to do, you know?
Yeah, I mean, that's a fucking milestone, man. Like, that right there can never be duplicated. It can never be replicated. You know, the feeling of accomplishment that came from that. And, you know, it didn't really set in to me until, you know, a week or so later. But, I mean, I got the phone call. I got the phone call from Jerry at like 4 o'clock in the morning, and they literally had to sneak him out of the hospital. And, you know,
that's funny, yeah, because the hospital was in on the work. They were like, yeah, it's cool, come on up. You know, he's a fireman, he knows all the EMTs and shit. So they were in on the work, but they were like, oh, what are we going to do with you?
Yeah, exactly. And he, you know, I got the call, like I said, it was about 4:30 in the morning, and it's from him, and I'm like, oh shit, you know, there's something wrong when I see his name pop up on my phone. And, you know, he tells me that he's just now leaving the hospital because fucking people are camped out outside. And they had to sneak him out the back in order for him to leave. And then they sent security around to where the people were to let them know that, you know, that he was going to be fine, you know, and that he would be released soon, you know, which he was already on the fucking way home at that point. But just to get that phone call, man, and, you know, like I said, it didn't set in, you know, until like a week later, what that did for us, you know, what that did for hell, for me as a fucking performer, you know, for the group as, you know, wrestlers. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was ridiculous. It was so fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, the moments you can only hope you can recapture. And, you know, you come close a couple times, and certainly you've gotten, like, in Alabama, I know you were kind of, I don't think you were part of that run, but we had a little run in Alabama with Tank and some of the other guys that was pretty, it was pretty intense, but it was nothing like those early Anarchy days. Nothing I've ever done has been like that ever.
Yeah, you know, my shit in Alabama ended the night we went in to do that deathmatch tournament, and Kevin Brandon tried to fuck us on our money. You know. And I found him hiding in the bushes out back, you know, trying to avoid the boys. And, you know, I got my shit, and the first thing I did was go in and tell everybody in that locker room, look, if he owes you fucking money, go out the side door and cut a right. He's hiding in the bushes around the damn back of the building.
Yeah, Tank told that story also when he was on. It was requested by Christian Haim in a live tweet, I think. but
yeah, I missed out on a lot of the Alabama shit, but that was, you know, that's one thing that I was a part of and do, and I'm fucking proud of it. Goddamn it, I don't give a fuck if I ever go back over there to wrestle. That was fucking awesome.
yeah, that's something you'll never forget the rest of your life. But you know, that's kind of one of those. And you're still working with Anarchy on and off. Like, we had a great run as the Rejects. We were there for several years. We split up. We feuded against each other. We got back together. You know, we had the whole run there. I think we did about every fucking goddamn thing we could possibly do as a group in that building.
Absolutely. So, we controlled every fucking championship at one point. You know.
Yeah, I mean, we were baby faces. You know, when the Rejects turn baby face, you know, you're on the way out the door usually. I know up here at Empire Wrestling that happened a lot more quickly than it does normally. It still took like 2 years as opposed to the usual like 3 to 4. But you know, once you turn babyface, you know you're on the way out. So that was pretty much, you know, we came and did a couple little guest appearances. But now you're kind of still back in the mix of Anarchy, paying them a visit every now and then. Talk about a little, you know, just briefly what you're doing there, and then we'll get to some road stories before we wrap it up.
Well, you know, I just, I contacted Bill, you know, kind of got the itch again, and, you know, just told him, look, if you got a spot for me, or if you can fit me in somewhere, you know, I'd love to come in, you know, love to come in and help out. You know, I don't have to be the guy, you know what I'm saying? Like, because there's so much talent there, you know. My time's come, my time's passed, and you know, I made the best of it. You know, I had wonderful people to, you know, support me and get me through. But, you know, I just want to go in and help out, man. I see so much potential there with the guys. And, you know, if I can go in and help them in any way, man, that's all I want to do. You know, let's get the next generation of guys. Let's get them up there. You know, at Wildside, I swear to God, that and Anarchy, when we were doing the Elite versus the Rejects deal, I feel like there was not one person on that card that was above or beneath the other. You know, we were all on top of our game. And there
was
so
pretty
many
special
stars.
time, you know. We put 1,000 people in the Georgia Mountain Center, you know, when an indie show was.
We outgrew TNA, for God's sakes.
Yes, we sure did.
We outgrew TNA, for God's sakes, with not a fucking name on that card. We absolutely outgrew them, and I'm fucking proud of that.
Just the buzz, the local promotion, a little bit of local TV. We had a little bit. It was like public access. I mean, it wasn't like some fucking major shit, but it was there.
and you know, put 1,000 people in the Georgia Mountain Center. Now, in a building that big, it didn't look full, but it didn't look embarrassing either. You know, it was still impressive looking, and I was damn proud of that. Damn proud of it.
Absolutely.
Well, as we round up, it's been a hell of a time, man. 3 parts, third part being super extended. I've been one of my favorite guests, one of my favorite people in the wrestling business, so it ain't no surprise. But it's been a pleasure, just want to say, having you on, man, and enjoying this. And, you know, off the air, on the air, whatever, I hope to continue our little conversations weekly. I've enjoyed them, so hit me up. Chat, I'm always game, you know, whether it be on the air or not.
I told you we kind of need to do this at least once a week to, you know, just keep our sanity.
I'm always going to talk about the business.
You know, whether it's current or whether it's shit that we did in the past, you know. I'm always down to just sit and talk with you because God knows I've picked your brain enough over the last fucking 15 years and learned just so fucking much just working with and being around you and you know one of my best friends ever in the business and you know there's nothing but fucking love, you know, for you and you know the guys that we've had the pleasure of working with, and you know it seems like that, you know, that crew from Wildside rolling over into Anarchy, we've all stuck together, and you know we're family, you know with Jeff and Tank and Tempers and you know Izzy and Slimmy and you know Annie and Melanie, you know what I'm saying? Everybody's a family, you know. And,
you don't see that on the indies often. I mean, you know, it really was like coming up in the territory in that respect, you know, because everybody kind of grew up together and learned a lot about life together, you know, in many different circumstances. And it really is a family. Like, you know, any of those people you mentioned are like, you know, that's just our crew. We might not talk for months, but we can pick up the phone anytime if we need one another, you know.
No, guaranteed, man. Guaranteed. You know. And that's a blessing, man. It is, and like you said, it's a very rare thing because there's so many guys that in their own mind they're fucking stars and they're out for them fucking selves, whereas we were always out for each other, and because we wanted each other to fucking succeed, and we wanted each other to get fucking better, and you know the better one of us got, you know, everyone got better. You know, we were there to fucking pass the knowledge along, or to lend a helping hand, or fucking, you know, if a guy's in a tough spot trying to figure out some shit with a fucking match, you know, he had 10 guys he could go to say, you know, what do you think about this, or you know, what would you do different, or what would you do, period. You know, you don't see that now. You don't see that shit at all. You know, and that's a wonderful thing. I mean, you see how successful, you know, AJ has become, and he was a part of that family. And, you know, you see how successful Abyss has become, and Gunner, you know, and even the guys that haven't...
Evan Bourne, and fucking on and on.
You know, and even the guys that haven't reached that level yet. I mean, you know, you got Sean Tempers, and you got Tank, and you got guys that are fucking traveling and making a name for themselves, and you know what I mean. It just makes you proud, man, that you were a part of it, and you know you watched these people grow and mature and become some of the best in the fucking business. You know, whether they've got that mainstream fucking exposure or not. You know, these are still some of the most requested guys in the fucking business. You know, and that makes you fucking proud, man.
Yeah, to know, you know, you're involved in that, and it always will be. You know, Wildside will always hold a spot, and I'm sure that Austin talked about never occurring reunion event will happen at some point. I know Bill wants it to. And people like Jimmy Rave and other people have really wanted it too, but, I don't think anything ever actually happened with it. But I'm sure one day it will, and until then we'll keep talking about it. So, as we wrap it up, just, we've got the serious stuff. We got the mushy stuff out of the way. We got... I just want to talk about some of the funny shit, because we were always laughing our balls off constantly. That's one thing you can hear in the Wildside locker room is cackling laughter from one corner of the locker room or another at some point, because, we're always good-naturedly ribbing each other and giving each other shit and coming up with pet nicknames and, passing gas on one another and the various things guys in the locker room do. What stands out to you is, like, the funniest shit that you saw the whole time you were there? And then also we got to get a couple of good road stories. We got about 7 minutes, I think, to get that wrapped up, so I think we could do that.
Oh, my God, man. Yeah, you really put me on the spot there, because there was just so much that went on, behind the fucking curtain we snickered at. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, I can't just put my finger on one thing. It was just family, man. You know what I'm saying? Everybody was there to. You know what? The motherfuckers that was there to rib you and to break you down were the first ones there to fucking pick you up. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, I can't pick out one thing. In that building, man. I can't.
The ribbing was usually pretty good-natured. It was only a couple of times where it got out of hand, especially by, like, the main heart of the crew. There were some peripheral guys, as I'd call them, that may have been involved in some fairly extreme ribs. But, I think that as far as, like, the main heart and soul of the crew, it was always fairly good-natured. But yeah, I'm trying to think. Like also when these stories come to mind, you have to think of, like, what can you tell without fucking stooging on
without fucking breaking up a family. Without breaking up a family. There's shit that was funny as hell. That went on, but I don't want to break up a damn family telling those fucking stories. We'll leave that. We'll put that in the damn vault, and when they dig it up in 50 fucking years, then they can laugh about it, and maybe to some of these folks, maybe they won't be so damn traumatized because they'll be older. Maybe they can laugh about it, but I just we did and saw and participated in a lot of shit there, and I laughed more than I probably ever have. I certainly had probably some of my most fuzzy moments in that building, and when I say fuzzy, I mean because when the fucking doors closed and we all got together in the middle of that damn ring and was passing around the jug of old granddad or whatever the hell we were doing, that shit, that was like a damn, like a family reunion, man. And the funny thing is we never left. We were there. But, we all had a damn chemistry. And, I'm just proud to have been a part of it. I appreciate the opportunities that were given to me. I appreciate the guys, you and Bill and Stephen Prazak, Scott Hudson, and the guys that got me over, and Bailey, and all the guys that I had a chance to work with that made me who I am, because absolutely I couldn't have done any of it by my fucking self. It was all the people that I was working with all the way around. Andrew Thomas, just from the way he presented himself and in a ring, and the way he would get certain shit over. You know, I can't thank any of these people enough. You know, Dwayne running the fucking rain cam, and you know, Rick's dad running the hard cam, and you know, Rodeo and Miss Kathy and Miss Sandy. You know, all just everybody that was involved, man. They made that shit. You know, Mike and Claudette, for God's sakes. You know, see if those two names come up in another damn interview. You know, all of these damn people, man, they made what we did a success, and they made it fun. You know, and I'm just really grateful to have been a part of that and shared it with, you know, what I consider some of the best friends I'll ever have in this life. You know.
Yeah, damn straight, man, damn straight. Heartfelt words from the No Pain Train. It really, you know, reflected on a special time in everybody's life there, and it has been a blast, man. It really has. Just anything else you want to add before we wrap this thing up? Anything? Like, I know this probably will take air here in a couple of days, so if you want to plug any upcoming appearances, or I know you're on Twitter at NWA Iceberg, but you don't ever seem to post anything on there, but you're there.
Yeah, you know, that was just kind of a, you know, fuck it, I'll sign up for that shit, but, you know, that ain't my damn thing. Like I said, you know, we cover the Facebook thing. I'm on there more often than not. You know, look for me at Anarchy. You know what I'm saying? You know, but that's about it, man. I just, you know, just doing that thing and living life and being happy and, you know, just going, you know, moving on to the next chapter of my life. And, you know, from what I've read of that chapter so far, it's pretty fucking awesome.
Hell yeah, man. Well, we are out of time, but it has been an honor talking with my brother, the Iceberg. Thank you for joining us again on the Midnight Black Mass, and thank you, Bird, for joining the show. It means a lot to me, man, but I'll talk to you soon, and fans, I'll talk to you next week. Keep one foot in the gutter and one fist in the gold. This is the Rev. Also keep them two horns in the air. I'm out.